So today we're going to be watching 90 Day Fiance, and if you don't know, 90 Day Fiance is a hit TV show created by TLC, and it's categorized by me in trash TV. And 90 Day Fiance is a show where they'll take an American person and a person from another country, and then they bring them together. It doesn't really matter where, but usually it's like along the plot point of them getting a green card and coming over to the United States to live a new life. Obviously, this can bring many problems, as many people suspect the people who come to the United States to coming just because of a green card, and there can be a host of things, whether it be one person's in it for the money or whatnot. It does bring up a variety of problems. And today, we're going to be watching episode 2 of season 9, and I'm going to be providing some analysis on what I think is happening and what the primary focus is. If you didn't watch the first episode, it's not that important, but I would recommend you go watch it first. And the couples we're going to be focusing on a lot more this episode are going to be Emily and Kobe and Bilal and Shadid, just because they are really the focal points of this season, and none of the others really match up to this level of like insanity. Yeah, look at this chart right here. Only like 90% of you are subscribed, so like subscribe to my channel so you can get notifications and shit. So yeah, nice. Bye. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Looking forward to that house.
The house?
Yeah.
Shaeeda and I, we only spent actually 7 days together physically. Purposely, like, don't show what I have.
Are
like,
you serious?
Yeah. I'm putting Shy to the test a little bit.
Wow, home sweet home, right?
When Shaeeda comes in today, I'm gonna bring her to my childhood home.
So immediately we see Bilal's test for Shaeeda to make sure she isn't a gold digger, which I think is an unfound problem, because I don't think that a real gold digger would have stayed with Bilal for that long without any real tell of money, because he's saying he hasn't showed her any glimpse of money and stuff like that. And it's like, I think that in itself is a good enough test. But regardless of that fact, Bilal says he's gonna have her go and stay with him in his childhood home, and it shows the home in a state of disrepair, and that always brings up a lot of questions, because a house is a very valuable asset, one of the most appreciating assets that someone can own, right? Bilal knowing this very well, because he is a real estate agent and an investor. And that raises the question, why would he let his own home go into such a state of disrepair if he truly was a multimillionaire, like a lot of people on the show are saying? So it's like, why would he purposely let a asset depreciate? It really doesn't make any sense. And also, one of the weirder things is that the house is actually in not like great shape, but also if you go within the house, there's already furniture, there's already everything set up. So it brings the question, why is there furniture and everything in the house to begin with? But maybe I'm just going too deep into it. But yeah, let's see just how Bilal plans to portray this and what Shaeeda is really gonna react to this.
Love hasn't been kind to me. I've obviously went through a divorce. I have walls built up. I have trust issues. I am successful. The reality is that, hey, come from the inner city, come from the hood, which is, it's the foundation of who I am. And so I wanted to see if Shaeeda truly wants me for me and not for what I have.
So here again, we hear him reaffirm his beliefs and why he is the way he is from his point of view, his justification for why he's doing this. And he starts the phrase off with like, well, I haven't shown her anything, and that's because I have walls built up. I have trust issues, obviously, right? And I understand that. That's a very valid thing. And as he said, love hasn't been kind to him. His ex-wife, I mean, apparently their relationship wasn't that great, and their split wasn't that great either. And it obviously does build walls around people and sometimes even trap them within their own insecurities. But the problem is with Bilal's thing is that I understand having insecurities and stuff like that, but he also then goes on to say that he hasn't shown her anything, right? But if he hasn't shown her anything, how can she love him for what he has? He hasn't shown her anything. To her, he has nothing. Which is the point I'm trying to make here is that this is all redundant because she doesn't know he has anything, so why would she be after whatever he may have if he did have it? You know, that's a lot to gamble. If if I was a hypothetical gold digger, I wouldn't go after some dude who just shows me a fucking white screen whenever I talk to him, right? Like that's just not happening, you know? Even I have a map in the background. I'm better than Bilal, you know? So let's just move on to the airport scene where Bilal finally meets Shadid for the second time.
Finally.
Well, you here?
No.
So they meet, they hug. I mean, it's cute, you know. I mean, nothing wrong with this scene, you know. One thing I did forget to mention, why the fuck is Bilal driving a goddamn van? Like, the van is just overkill. Like, you can live in an average suburban home and have like a decent car. Like, you don't need to be driving like a child predator van. Yeah, yeah. Needless to say. But anyways, it's a pretty cute scene. They just hug and they're like, "Wow, it's really you." Kind of underwhelming energy. Like the energy level should be here, but it's like here. Each person handles things differently, so it's like some people have that high energy level and some people just don't. You know what I mean? And that's not a problem. It seems like they're very happy that each other are there, and I think that's a genuinely nice thing, you know? I do wonder how Shadid will react when she sees the house, though, right? That will be an interesting event. Also, one thing, I don't know if this was offensive or anything, but I don't remember whether I said Shaida or Shadid. I may have said Shadid once or twice in the recording. I'm not sure. If so, I didn't mean to offend anyone. I just forgot her name, kind of. But it's Shaida, I think. I think. So I'm not really gonna show the footage, but Shaida gets in the van with Bilal and she complains about how clean it is. And honestly, I kind of understand this only because of one reason. So, Bilal is a self-professed clean freak and has OCD and stuff like that that he claims. And he's like, well, I just like to keep things clean. His house looks immaculate. Like when we saw his house, it looked really beautiful. Everything looked clean in place, and the van is just full of like junk, like actual just trash. And it's like that is very uncharacteristic of like someone who does have OCD, has a cleaning like freak, you know, wouldn't have a car like that. You know, I think that is a oversight from his end. But they make a big deal out of it and make Shida seem really bad when she's like, "Don't put my luggage inside that garbage," because it's like there's just piles of stuff in the back of the truck, and she's just like, "Don't put my shit back there." You know, I mean, I think it's a totally valid concern because I myself don't like having my luggage dirtied or stuff like that because it's like this is my shit. You know, I don't want it to be. Don't throw it in like a. If your trunk is full of trash, don't throw it in there. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I think it's I don't think either of them is in the wrong, you know. But
But just the mere fact that he's flipping houses and buying property, I know that's costs a lot of money. So I know that his finances has to be at a certain up there, and that is not the type of van I expect him to drive.
I'm starting to understand why he was hiding everything from me.
I am panicking. What is next? What do I have to expect now?
But this is completely unacceptable.
so their segment will eventually end here. And last thoughts on their segment, I do think that Bilal is really blowing this out of proportion. And one thing is revealed is that while Bilal didn't show her directly anything, Shaida does know that he does flip houses for a living, so therefore, obviously, flipping houses requires a certain amount of money. So it's like, oh, well, you know, I mean, it's reasonable to assume he has some type of wealth. And she didn't expect the van, you know. But I don't think that Shaida is complaining about the van as much as she's complaining about the van being dirty. All she says is, Bilal, this is unacceptable. I don't think she's referring to the van being unacceptable. I think she's referring to the condition the van is because mentions too, like, oh, I think I saw a rat in the corner or something, which I think is dramatized. I don't think there's really a rat in the corner. But on the same note, it's like, it's just I don't really understand Bilal's perspective on this whole thing. While I do understand it's like, is someone really gonna love me for me? But it's like, on the same note, Bilal says he's like, well, why she should learn to appreciate what she has. And I think one of the most important things is like, yeah, appreciation is always great, but on the same note, it's like telling the truth is always a good policy as well, I mean, tricking people is not a great thing regardless of the reason, right? But Bilal's reason makes even less sense than the average like lie, his doesn't make much sense, and they try to twist at the end. It's like, well, I don't know if she'll really be with me, and it's like she hasn't said any. Like he was like, a lot of people I know lose money and they have to start over from their humble beginnings. I just want to know if she's ride or die like that, and it's like she hasn't said anything that would detract it. She just said, Bilal, you're losing points here, and there's no direct correlation. Like she didn't say, "Oh my God, you're so poor. Look at this car. It's a piece of shit." She didn't say that. If she did, the whole situation would be different. But yeah, let's move on to Guillermo and Cara.
You mean like Sankey Panky? A Sankey Panky is usually a young, brown,
Latino boy.
Latino who like finds an older, white female to date, basically like a sugar mama.
Normally, Sankey Pankies go for papers too.
Oh, hey, sorry, I forgot to take these off. These are my cringe deflectors. I had to put those on while Cara Cara literally described herself for the like 10 minutes as a sugar mommy and how she's a proud one. Then they get into something called Sankey Panky, where it's like a Latino person who goes over for papers, and it's like, and it's just really weird. It's really weird. But anyways, Chris's or Guillermo's brother Chris is over, and he's really happy that his younger brother's getting married. It seems like a wholesome relationship that Guillermo has with his brother. Guillermo is one of the most genuine characters or genuine people I've seen in the show, and uh, he's very sentimental or very emotional, I should say, that Guillermo is leaving for America, but is glad at the opportunity that his brother's getting, right? And he's just sad that he doesn't know when he's gonna see him again, which is such a real thing. It's like, damn, when am I gonna meet these people again? And sometimes that's just a really emotional time. At the end of the day, it's just like, damn. And it's crazy that Guillermo is leaving a place that he's known for the last 10 years of his life, and this is going to be his last day. They're basically what they're doing is they're celebrating a last day within the Dominican Republic, and he leaves tomorrow morning. But they're also talking about how his brother's questioning will his younger brother fit in with Kara's friends and stuff like that. And Kara's just like, oh yeah, I'm sure they will, stuff like that. And as a precursor, I'll go ahead and tell you, no, it doesn't really work out. But anyways, Kara is telling us about how her friends always says that she likes boys, like, and it's just kind of weird.
Sos más mayor. Y dice like,
Okay.
oh, Cara quiere los niños. Ella quiere, vamos a hacer como un toddler.
A
And then vamos
saltacunas.
así. Porque it's funny.
No, a mí me cae mal. Esa a mí me cae muy, muy,
¿Qué?
muy,
¿Qué?
muy, 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 muy mal. Calling me a toddler or like a little kid, it's so ridiculous.
And here's the first time we really hear from the little child Guillermo. And I'm only calling him that because he really doesn't like being called a kid. Like, so that's a common occurrence, is like eventually with her friends, the reason why they don't agree is because like the age gap and whatever. It's like, I don't think it's that. Okay, it's kind of crazy. It's only like 4 years. I mean, it's not really that much. And it's like, oh, he's such a child. Fuck, how could a child like this ever conceivably do anything? It's like, oh, he's not that young, guys. But either way, it's just like it's such a ridiculous thing to get offended by is being called a child. It's like I think he's at the point where he should be appreciative. Almost, he's almost to that point. There's a point in adulthood where you start lying about being younger. And maybe he just hasn't reached that phase yet, but once he does, he'll appreciate being called a child eventually, you know. But anyways, yeah, this segment was exceptionally boring. Nothing really happens. I hate to be that guy. Nothing happens. At the end of the day, he's just like, well, what I want the most is respect from my fiance, which is understandable. And it's like, he's just like, I shouldn't be teased from my fiance about me being younger, which I kind of see, but also don't really like. It's a yes and no. It's like it's not meant to be taken that seriously. She doesn't actually think you're a child. I don't know if that's his point, but either way, I mean, it's just like it's just a point, and she's obviously she is harping on it a little too much, and at the end of the day, she does harp on it way too much. You know, it is a little bit too much at times, but also on the same note, I don't think it's that ridiculous. Like it's just she's just teasing you, bro. You know, I mean, she doesn't mean anything by it. But my final thoughts on that segment are they seem like a fine couple. I mean, their problems are very limited, you know what I mean? Like neither of them really does anything strange. They're just kind of they tease each other and he gets upset about being called a child and that's about it. You know, no red flags this segment at all, you know. Okay, so side note, I'm skipping even Muhammad's like entire episode because it really just introduces them and one of her friends is literally like oh, don't you think it's a bit controlling of Muhammad because she's getting rid of clothes that Muhammad wouldn't like because Muhammad is of the Muslim faith and showing like a lot of skin wouldn't be acceptable for a good wife of a Muslim, right? And of a Muslim man. And I think that this is just not that interesting. Like there's nothing really that goes on, but once he does get to the United States, I will start covering him more. I'll definitely cover them because they that is a really good one to cover. But anyways, we're gonna skip to Jabri and fuck, what's her name? I don't know. Let's just skip to Jabri. So to start off, Jabri's going to a car wash to get his car clean so he can go pick up Miona in the afternoon, right? And basically he calls David, which is his best friend, who now lives in Chicago, who used to be part of a band. They used to tour, I guess, or which is how he met Miona in the first place through basically because of David. So he just wanted to talk to his best friend, catch up, you know, stuff like that. And this does foreshadow a problem because he wants his best friend David, which he's known since he was 16. They have a band together. It's just this whole past, you know, and he wants David to get along with his girlfriend or his fiance because obviously who wouldn't want that? You know, that's obviously something anyone would want, any person. But unfortunately, they don't really get along, and that foreshadows a lot of the problems that they're going to have because it's like a lot of Jabri's family, friends, a lot of people don't like Miona, and that does start to become a problem. And one piece of advice I do want to give out is that this isn't always the best piece of advice, but oftentimes when there's a lot of people telling you one thing, there may be some level of truth to it, right? It's like the Big Ed and Liz situation. I don't want to bring this up all the time, but it is a pertinent situation because Liz and Big Ed have broken up 9 times, or maybe it's 10. Either way, they've broken up so much, right? But the thing is that Liz keeps getting back with him despite thousands of people around the world telling her not to. And this is obviously on a much smaller scale, but it is still applicable because it's like a lot of these people are questioning his decisions. Like, yo, man, maybe you shouldn't get in a relationship with her. She doesn't seem like she has the same goals as you, not really as down to earth as you know, and it's maybe it wouldn't work, right? And I understand that sometimes people are wrong about these things, but if David was really there from the beginning of it all and he doesn't like her, then maybe there may be more to consider, right? But at the end of the day, let's just look what happens.
Everybody wants us to do shows. You know, I talked to Space Gas. He's ready. Brandy, she's ready. You know what I'm saying? He's just really waiting on you.
She's coming in 2 days, bro. So,
In 2 days?
yeah, man.
Good luck with that,
What you
man.
mean good luck? Why you say that?
I just wish you good luck. That's all I'm saying. We'll see, we'll see how your love, if your love will hold out. I just doubt it.
And his friend David is very convinced that Shmiona is actually just there for the visa and the money because the Black Serps are actually very popular apparently in Serbia and other European countries. So what he's saying is that like it's not inconceivable that her coming over there and marrying him could be for her own personal gain, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I think it's always a possibility, but Jabri immediately dismisses it. But maybe there's more that Jabri knows, a deeper connection, but I don't really know. And that's basically the end of their segment. And honestly, my final opinions about their segment in total are like, I do believe Jabri is moving a bit fast and he's not really heeding the warnings of his friends, his family. When all people are saying something, there's usually some truth to it. And maybe even the issue doesn't present itself immediately. Maybe they do get married, everything's happy, but what if the moment he does run out of money, there's always issues like that because Jabri has never really held the fact that he was poor or didn't have any money to her. In fact, they went on, I believe, like a 6-month journey around the world. So it's like she doesn't think that he doesn't have money, and that's evident throughout the story where he doesn't tell her that he doesn't have the money and many other situations. And it leads you to question sometimes. It's like, well, she may be in it for the money. She always talks about going to Beverly Hills, going to California and Hollywood, and it's just I don't want to be the first one to judge, and I'm not. But a fair dose of cynicism is always required. It's like if Jabri took a little bit of Bilal's test, a little bit, not as much as Bilal's doing, but if he just took a little bit of it, maybe it would help. Bilal is like over here, too much. Jabri is like on the other side, too little. And there has to be a medium, like somewhere in between where it's like you still consider, it's like, do they love me for me? But you're also not testing the fuck out of them, the same. But yeah, let's move on. So yeah, the next segment we go to is Emily and Kobe, and I think this is one of the more better highlights of the show. And from the beginning scene, she's picking lingerie and she's talking about spending the night with Kobe before she comes to her family home. And yeah, let's get into them. Wait, no, I didn't mean it like that. We're not getting into them. We're getting into their segment, all right?
Getting married. Oh, if it doesn't work out, wait, we have a 1.5-year-old. That's a lot of pressure.
I look different. I am different. I'm not the partying Emily he met in China. I'm now the mother Emily that he's going to be introduced to. And it's a whole different lifestyle. He has no idea what he's getting into. And so I'm worried about everything.
So yeah, oh my God, this is the most. Somehow Emily has an uncanny knack of having the worst conversations I've ever heard in the world. And they give her the most screen time, and it's like because her relationship is so obscure, like her relationship genuinely is obscene. So like it does warrant her screen time, but also her relate. Oh, I literally spent the last 10 minutes watching this conversation between her and like fucking Cameron or some shit. I don't know, her gay best friend. And somehow it was only 3 minutes long, or it was only like 5 minutes long, but I felt like it was 20. Oh, so let me just break down what they said into like 4 sentences. So basically, what he's worried about is they're worried about how will their chemistry be after he lands. Will it be the same? Because she's not the same. She's a different version of herself. She's not the partying Emily anymore. She's the mom Emily. And that pisses me off. I want to point out something. Mom Emily and Partying Emily are no different in the same fact that they're both irresponsible like children. She lives with her parents. She still lives with her parents and she's like 30 years old. The fact of it is that she probably isn't even taking care of the child that much, you know. I mean, it's like she has assistance from her sister, from her mom, from her dad. I mean, it's like she's not exactly a self-sufficient adult at all. And she's still getting subsidized while she's at home, right? So it's like this is still a very not really different at all. She still doesn't have her own responsibility. She still isn't moving forward in her life. So how dare she claim that she's the one who's matured and that he may not be there, right? I think if anything, Kobe is the one who's more mature than her by leaps and bounds. Hello, as you guys can see, this is me from another day. So I decided since the video was actually so long, I'm actually going to be splitting it into two parts. So stay tuned for part two. I'm uploading that in a couple days. So yeah, thank you for watching so much. Please subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And look forward to episode two.